You could save that as it is and then add all those shapes in, but we're still working on the shapes right now. I'm just going to create a target to swing in. Make it the target. So, there we go. Now if you notice, I'm not using the mouse select. Mouse select is disabled here, only to allow non-uniform scaling of these entities. Okay, the reason why I did that was I just wanted to put it in a container mesh so I could save as in one nice go, and we're going to call this a collision tube. Anyhow, so again we're looking at the earliest cone here. I'm thinking of copying that. Okay, so we have this shape here. Going to see what I'm after doing or trying to accomplish here in a moment. For those of you that are not entirely sure, it's a way to get a little bit more defining of, say, a wing. Okay. So what I can do here, actually I'm going to move this to 0, 0. And I'm going to fix the mesh in that shape. Then I'm going to 180 this. It'll be a better fit. Fix the mesh. Yep. Yeah, we're about to see why. Okay, that's not too bad. Local. Rotate. So we're going to rotate locally here. Local scale doesn't really see how that fits. It's pretty good actually. Maybe a little bit chunkier than we wanted. So we'll go back to scale. Okay. So here we go. And you get a pretty approximate shape of the wing. What is this going to let us do? Well, in fact, for the case of this ship, the rear cone could probably be deleted. The front cone reduced a great deal. Okay. Still a bit big. So we will, a minute here. Scale affects the offsets. Now the reason for this, the parts to best represent the ship here. Okay, now if I remember a cylinder with 3 segments, that's the ticket. See the wire. Rotate on X 90 degrees and fix that mesh, and then we want to scale. Well, as you can tell, it will only take box-like shape, but that's fine. So it's a few tedious flicks back and forth. Once you get it, you've got a relative cage built. Let's just make it full bright so we can see it. So you can see how the cage is coming together. Now, we need to make sure we're always fixing the mesh wherever they are, whatever meshes they happen to be. Okay. Now we want to come down to cylinder that we made. Because something was deleted, we just have to reset the target. Okay, so now they're all in the one. Wonderful cone here. Funny thing is, yeah, that's the right one. That would be why I use sticky gizmo. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but in sticky mode, you're free to grab something, move it around, as long as you remember to right click at the end. So this one here, I'm going to now copy in. Do you want, yes, we always, in this mode we do want a true mesh copy because we're about to do a rotation on it. Now, I want to go to the rear view for this rotation. We're going to rotate on the X, like so. How cool is that? Good, so we're going to bake that in place. We can copy int, yep, and we're going to rotate that, a copy of that last one around. Mesh, yeah. I'm turning off the grid here. You can see we now have a very well framed in fighter. The collision cage, although not perfect, is much more representative of the shape. It's far less polygons. It's not going to cover parts of the mesh that maybe you're not sure that you wanted to have covered. It's still easy to adjust these parts. Now, neat thing here is if I liked that position forward, save the PRS, recall it on the other cones, and you'll see they've all moved forward, but now you have to fix mesh on each one of them. I'm going to go back into global just because I want to. Alright, so everything is all zeros here. The missiles themselves could probably be their own collision shapes if you want, but that's a fighter pretty much ready to go. It's close enough that you could use it. And actually, a neat thing about this here, I'm just going to go in, actually I'll go here. If you see here, this is the collision shape that will define that ship. It's quite simple compared to the main mesh, and that's what we were going for. It's a much better representation of what's going on. Now, so about 60 polygons in this collision mesh. That's not much. It's less than a sphere actually. We're showing an advanced way to use less polys than a sphere, match the shape of your ship. Okay? And one other thing though, we're not quite done. The shape's ready to be used by this. I'm gonna have to select the main mesh and copy. Now you might have seen this before. Okay. And that was the first cone done. So we're going to copy the parent. Yeah, it looks like we're going. We got one more to go. So the last cone surface. 5 surfaces. Now, at this point, I'm going to save it out quickly, just because I want to make sure that we're saving out the item properly. I'm not sure if I have it checked. There we go, just to be sure. Now, at this point, it should be safe to delete these. The save function, I'm going to actually call this number 3. Because those surfaces were common, it has reduced the number of surfaces on the end. So what we're going to do now is just double check what we saved is proper. Open. We're going to do it normal because we want them side by side in case it didn't take. Okay, so it's working good. Alright, so here we go. We have our ship here. Now, as you remember, the surfaces are still visible, so just take that extra step and set them invisible. And then save your mesh. And it's ready to go in nuclear fusion with a simplified mesh shape. You can know that it's going to well approximate the hull of the ship. The players are going to see the bullets won't seem like they're missing all the time. You're not going to have that shield bubble effect. You could actually call this a hit to the armor or whatever you want to call that. It was relatively simple to build. I took my time doing it here so you could see the steps. But it's ready to go. The simplicity is the fact that when you load and you set the mesh shape to use, the collision shape to use the mesh on the on this object, it's going to use these 2 surfaces and skip the rest below here, and then you just use your ship as you can. Now, we could have gone one further and stuck some cylinders on each of the missiles, or maybe a box around the missile groups. But chances are you're going to be controlling those missiles separately, and they probably have their own collision shapes as they are now. Anyhow, that's that, and I'm going to wrap this one up now, and hopefully you find this useful.